So this is another piece of independent contextual research that I did early on in the process. This was in week 3 of rehearsal, sort of the end of week 3, and I decided to follow my calendar that I had planned out at the start of the process and look at culture, as it would be very suiting to how that would affect Rita at the time. So these are the key points I made. By 1964, the fashion scene had taken over London and spread. There were many fashion innovators on the rise, such as Mary Quant, as she's obviously mentioned in the musical. By 1966, commercial radio had hit its high, and over 45% of the population were listening in to these popular broadcasts. All ages were embracing all the fashions and trends of the 60s, and Britain seemed to be, and I quote, the envy of the world. So a lot of countries were looking towards Britain, which was this just big hub of fashion and music. Pop culture, such as the Beatles, were more popular than ever. So pop culture really was on the rise in London and Liverpool. In terms of what I take from this, I took that Rita, although she is 35 and she's a mother and she's working, I think for Rita, the thing she would have taken from this sort of culture is the fashion. Although she didn't have a lot of money, I think she would have followed along with it, with the hair, with the makeup, as much as she could. And I think also radio, I feel that the O'Grady household would have had a radio, and they would have sort of tuned into this weekly or daily. And because Rita was a busy woman at work and at home with the children, I feel like the radio would have been a big part of her life, just being able to tune in and listen to all this pop music. And because Rita is the age she is, I think that's all she really would have connected to in sort of the culture of Britain at the time. I think a lot of it was aimed at the young people. But although all of them were embracing the fashion and the trends, I just think that because of Rita's sort of lifestyle, she wouldn't have been able to keep up as much. So in terms of how this informs my practical work, I think this impacted my practical work through sort of giving my character more substance. I have a better understanding of her now, because as I do more research like this, even though it's based on culture, and it may not, heavily impact my practical work and mannerisms and physicality and stuff like that, it really gives my character more of a 3D view to me. She becomes more real and truthful because I create these ideas of what I think Rita would have done and activities she would have done based on this research. Like I said, I feel like radio would have played a huge part in her life because it was so popular. I don't think there was really any escape from it, and because Rita's so busy, I feel like that would have been her escape, tuning into the radio while she's at home looking after the children, or if she's out with the girls, even at work, maybe if they had a radio in the factory. And it just gives that little bit of substance to my character and intention. So whenever in the musical I feel that Rita's restless or tired, I know in the back of my mind that within this culture she had something that was hers and made her part of the culture, although she is sort of reaching a middle-aged woman.